Most people do not fail to build wealth because they are lazy. They fail because they misunderstand the game. For thousands of years, wealth has never belonged only to the hardest workers. Farmers worked hard. Soldiers worked hard. Builders worked hard. But history remembered the people who controlled systems. Kings controlled land. Merchants controlled trade. Bankers controlled money. Industrialists controlled resources. Empire builders controlled people, routes, taxes, and power. The pattern is clear. The 99% work inside systems. The 1% learn how systems work, then position themselves to benefit from them. Most people earn money, spend it, and return to work. The wealthy use money to buy assets, time, influence, and protection. That is the difference between income and wealth. Income is money coming in. Wealth is money that stays, grows, and gives you options. Most people think wealth means luxury. A palace. A mansion. A private jet. A gold watch. A famous name. But those things are only symbols. Real wealth is control. Control over time. Control over assets. Control over risk. Control over the future. Mansa Musa was not legendary because he earned a salary. His empire controlled gold and trade routes. Rockefeller did not become rich by selling his hours. He controlled oil refining, distribution, and industrial systems. Ancient rulers did not build fortunes by saving coin. They controlled land, taxes, armies, ports, and commerce. The 99% focus on income. The 1% focus on ownership. Income feeds the present. Ownership builds the future. This is where most people lose. They spend money trying to look wealthy instead of becoming wealthy. They buy symbols before substance. They upgrade lifestyle before assets. They chase status before security. In ancient courts, nobles spent fortunes on clothing, jewels, banquets, and ceremonies to look powerful. Today, people do the same thing with cars, phones, brands, houses, and social media. The costume changed. The weakness did not. Status is expensive, and fake wealth is fragile. One lost job, one failed deal, one emergency, one market crash, and the illusion collapses. Wealth that is not protected is temporary. The 1% understand that building wealth is only half the game. The other half is defending it. Empires built walls. Kings built armies. Merchants built networks. Bankers built contracts. Modern investors build diversified portfolios. The form changes. The principle stays the same. Most people never protect the first money they earn, they get paid. Then the money disappears. Food, rent, debt, subscriptions, entertainment, upgrades, impulse purchases. Then they wait for the next payment. Work, earn, spend, stress, repeat. It feels normal because almost everyone is doing it. But normal is not the same as wise. If the crowd knew how to build wealth, the crowd would be wealthy. The 1% ask a better question. Most people ask, what can I buy? The wealthy ask, what can this money become? Can it buy an asset? Can it reduce risk? Can it increase skill? Can it create future income? Can it protect freedom? That question changes everything. Money can be consumed, or it can be converted. Consumed money gives temporary comfort. Converted money becomes assets, knowledge, systems, and future power. Most people consume first and invest later, but later usually never comes. The wealthy invest first, then consume from what remains. Before we continue, subscribe to Kings, Empires, and Billionaires for cinematic documentaries on wealth, power, empires, and the money principles that shaped history. Most people fail because they underestimate time. They want the empire without the foundation. They want financial freedom after one good month. But every great fortune was built through accumulation. Land accumulated. Gold accumulated. Trade routes accumulated. Factories accumulated. Shares accumulated. Knowledge accumulated. Reputation accumulated. Power accumulated. Nothing meaningful compounds overnight. At first, wealth building looks slow. A small saving, a small investment, a small skill, a small business. Then, over time, the small advantage becomes separation. Most people quit before compounding becomes visible. They start investing, then stop. They start learning, then get distracted. They start saving, then spend it. They start a business, then panic when results take time. But wealth does not reward the person who starts the most things. It rewards the person who stays in the right game long enough. The 1% understand patience as a weapon. While others spend to impress, they invest to control. While others react to life, they prepare for it. The 99% live financially reactive lives. A bill arrives, and they panic. A job disappears, and they panic. Prices rise, and they panic. The 1% assume problems will come. So they build reserves. They avoid reckless debt. They study risk. They create multiple income sources. They keep access to capital. They protect the downside. Because assuming life will always go perfectly is not optimism. It is bad planning wearing expensive clothes. Another reason 99% fail is that they depend on one income source, one salary, one client, one business model, one market, one skill. If that source weakens, everything weakens. The wealthy build layers. Active income, business income, investment income, rental income, equity, ownership. The goal is simple. Use income to buy independence from income. At first you work for money. Then you use money to buy assets. Then assets begin to produce money. Eventually, your life is no longer controlled by one paycheck. That is the transition most people never make. They increase income, but also increase spending. This is lifestyle inflation. A raise comes, and the car gets better. A bonus comes, and the vacation gets bigger. Business improves, and the house gets larger. The outside looks successful. The balance sheet does not. This is how people become high-income poor. The wealthy resist this by separating income from identity. They do not let ego spend first. They understand that looking rich too early is one of the fastest ways to never become rich at all. Pride destroys wealth quietly. People refuse to budget because it feels small. They refuse to start investing because the amount feels embarrassing. They refuse to say, "I cannot afford that," because their image matters more than their future. So they pretend. And pretending is expensive. The 1% are not always more intelligent, but they are usually more willing to face reality. They look at numbers. They measure risk. They learn from people ahead of them. They change when the facts change. Most people protect their feelings. The wealthy protect their position. This is why financial education matters. Most people leave school knowing how to work, but not how wealth works. They understand job titles and monthly payments, but they do not understand assets, debt, equity, taxes, inflation, leverage, risk, or compounding. So they enter the financial world unarmed. Then they take advice from people who are also confused. Family opinions, social media trends, random success stories. A friend who made money once and now speaks like a prophet. This is how bad decisions spread, because apparently civilization needed more prophets with bad spreadsheets. The 1% study money because money affects everything. They study history because history shows patterns. They study power because wealth attracts competition. They study failure because lost fortunes teach as much as built ones. Wealth is never just about money. It is about behavior, patience, control, risk, timing, and what a person does when nobody is watching. The 99% chase the visible result. The 1% build the invisible system. The 99% consume money. The 1% convert money. The 99% depend on income. The 1% build ownership. The 99% wait for certainty. The 1% build capability. That is why the gap continues. Most people repeat habits that keep them dependent. The 1% repeat habits that make them harder to control. They build assets, protect capital, delay gratification, learn the rules, prepare for crisis, avoid status traps. They understand wealth is not an event, it is a system. The names change, the empires change, the currency changes. But the rules remain. Most people chase comfort. The wealthy build control. That is why 99% fail to build wealth. And that is why the 1% do not.